The chaos began when the man was violently thrown backward by what seemed like the sheer force of the mountain itself. His expression was one of pure pain and shock, like he'd just walked into a surprise punch from nature. Meanwhile, Yun had hit the ground hard, flashes of light and energy surrounding her as if she had been hit by something equally powerful. From behind, she appeared to be transforming, her body glowing with a strange aura. It was as if she was either shrinking or becoming something new, the visual effects making the moment feel larger than life. On the sidelines, two men watched with alert, concerned expressions. One of them, holding a gun, turned back, clearly caught off guard by the unexpected turn of events. "What just happened?" he asked, the confusion evident in his voice. For a moment, it was almost as if he was expecting someone to pop out and shout, "Surprise!" The woman nearby, always composed in such situations, asked seriously, "What's that sound?" Her expression showed no room for jokes, unlike the guy standing next to her who looked tense but not entirely sure how seriously to take the whole situation. Then, the screams started. A man lay on the ground, clutching his leg, his face contorted in agony. "My leg is cracked," he shouted, his voice filled with panic. Yun stood above him, calm and composed, like a teacher watching a student complain about a tough exam. The injured man looked up in shock, pointing frantically at her. "She's a monster. She transformed into a giant and broke my leg." Nearby, the man with the gun asked, trying to keep his voice steady, "Young master, are you okay?" He wasn't quite sure what was worse, the injury, or whatever Yun had just become. The injured man, still in full panic mode, continued to shout, "Send her away. She's dangerous." His fear was clear, as if Yun was a walking nightmare. But the rest of the group was too focused to give in to his panic. Ding, now with glowing, intense eyes, radiated an aura of command. Her mental powers were in full force, and two men under her influence spoke in that eerie, robotic tone of mind control. "You got out of the car and broke your leg yourself," one said, while the other echoed, "Yes, you did." The injured man, now realizing something was very wrong, grew even more furious. He yelled at the others, accusing them of being in on some conspiracy, threatening to call his father to have them all killed. "You're all in cahoots. I'll have my father deal with you." Overhead, the city framed his desperate screams for his father, as if anyone could save him from the madness unraveling around him. A muscular man, watching the chaos unfold with an almost sinister smile, remarked, "Now this will be interesting to watch." It was clear he wasn't just there to be a passive observer. Suddenly, a luxurious vehicle screeched to a halt, its guards jumping into action, forming a defensive line near the car. On the opposite side, a few individuals stood ready, one of them possibly injured on the ground. The tension was palpable. Yanan, wrapped in minimal bandages, stood tall and confident, as if she just walked out of a battle victorious. Behind her, a group of men advanced, including Sechin, who looked like he was leading the charge. One of them, in a sharp suit, demanded an explanation for the chaos. "What's going on here?" he asked, as though anyone could sum up the insanity in a sentence. Fong, struggling to keep his emotions in check, approached with a mix of anxiety and concern. His wide eyes and hesitant speech revealed how difficult it was for him to break the news about the young lord's condition. He was clearly wrestling with how to explain the severity of the situation without completely losing his nerve. The young lord himself, full of rage and desperation, let out an angry shout, his wide eyes and furrowed brows betraying just how deeply upset he was. Then, in a flash, he was struck hard by the older man standing before him. The slap was fierce, its force evident in the young lord's contorted face. The older man, his voice filled with fury, reprimanded him harshly. "Treat people with respect," he barked, his words full of authority and frustration. His expression made it clear that he wasn't just delivering a lesson, he was making sure the young lord understood that things had gone far enough. As the man spoke, his clenched fist and intense expression made it clear he was delivering one of those motivational speeches you couldn't help but listen to. He seemed like the kind of guy who could convince you to run a marathon on 3 hours of sleep. His audience was hanging on to every word, some of them looking like they just realized the meaning of life. The man in the sharp suit, still riding that wave of energy, invited the crowd to stay with him. His enthusiasm was infectious, promising the best food and conditions, like a 5-star hotel in the middle of nowhere. The crowd responded with excitement, hands in the air, wide-eyed with hope. Who could say no to a guy offering free food, right? Feng, ever the calm one, started speaking in a reassuring tone. You could practically hear the relief in his voice as he gave out good news, though his face shifted to confusion as he glanced around the deserted area. "Where is everyone?" he muttered, like he'd just walked into a surprise ghost town. As if on cue, someone by the campfire cracked a joke about how they should have stayed in the city, sparking a tense but oddly humorous conversation around the fire. "Why are we in the woods again?" "Whose brilliant idea was this?" someone asked, though the atmosphere wasn't all fun and games. Talk of someone's son and a leader's weapon brought a serious tone back to the group. Still, nothing like spending a night in the woods together to bond over awkward silences and existential dread. Near the fire, Ding and Yen Yen sat close, with Yen Yen nervously admitting, "This is my first time doing this." Her face flushed as she asked Ding for guidance. Ding, ever the teasing one, leaned in. "First time camping, huh? Well, if you're scared of the dark, don't worry, I've got an extra flashlight." Yen Yen blinked in surprise, blushing even more, before Ding added, with closed eyes and a thoughtful tone, "Although, I'm not sure I'll sleep much tonight." Yen Yen, startled, blurted out, "Wow, impressive stamina." Before things could get any more awkward, Suchin interrupted, alerting them that someone was approaching. Both women shifted their attention, expressions switching from playful to concerned. From the shadows emerged a bald man, his demeanor tense and alert. He called out for someone, clearly not thrilled about the sudden presence of law enforcement or whatever this was. His backup, holding weapons, didn't help ease the tension. A confrontation was brewing. Ding, with her pink hair and no-nonsense expression, stepped forward, glaring at the man. "You really think you're going to walk away after breaking the young lord's leg?" she asked, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. Behind her, another man looked just as tense, as if expecting the situation to explode any second. Suchin, always one for dramatic entrances, stood confidently. "Run away? Me?" he scoffed, casually rubbing his neck. "I was just trying to avoid causing a scene. Wouldn't want to accidentally injure any innocent Tiger Squad members." His words were smooth, but his tone was sharp. The bald man raised an eyebrow mockingly, looking at the lack of weapons on the other side. "A grand showdown? With what? Harsh words." Meanwhile, a muscular man in the group, impatient and eager for action, dismissed the banter entirely. "Enough talking, let's just take them down." Suchin, however, was already on the move. With a clenched fist and an explosion of energy, he made his power known. His opponent's shock was written all over their faces, sweat dripping down as they scrambled to process what had just happened. One man, wide-eyed and terrified, barked out commands, "Open fire, now." But it was too late. Suchin leaped into action with dynamic precision, dual weapons slicing through the chaos like lightning. His strikes were surrounded by a circle of light, leaving his enemies in shock as they fumbled to counterattack. Amid the chaos, one man, utterly terrified, fell to his knees, pleading for his life. "Please," he cried, staring at the sharp blade hovering near him. "I'll tell you a secret about the city lord. Just spare me." Suchin, surrounded by a fiery red aura that made him seem even more menacing, leaned in. His voice was dangerously calm. "Talk. Now." The scene darkened as the man revealed the secret. The city's leader was closely tied to a savage tribe, engaging in secret dealings with them. Behind him, shadowy figures with glowing red eyes loomed, their presence hinting at the deeper darkness lurking just out of sight. The group gathered, their expressions grim, some lying on the ground in despair, as a shadowy crowd loomed in the background. Someone broke the silence, revealing a chilling secret. The city leader had been exchanging the lives of refugees with a savage tribe for food. The news hit like a punch in the gut, and everyone's mood darkened further. Jenian, filled with fury, turned to a nervous man and demanded, "Trading people for food? Really? What's next? A buy one, get one free deal with the savages?" The man, sweating bullets, stammered that it was all the city leader's plan. Her sharp eyes narrowed. This situation was far worse than anyone could have imagined. Suddenly, a monstrous figure appeared, gripping another man by the neck. The beast grinned darkly, taunting its prey. "Spoiled food again, huh? Really keeping up with tradition here," it sneered, as sparks of energy flickered around its grasp. The creature's massive frame towered over its captive, its eyes wide with unsettling intensity. The man, choked and desperate, could barely manage a gasp. The beast, with its towering red presence, seemed unstoppable, and the group watched, paralyzed with fear. Nearby, Janian and Ding huddled close, their expressions a mix of shock and disbelief. Ding's usual confidence faltered as she covered her mouth, processing the chaos unfolding before them. Even the bald man, who had been pleading earlier, looked like he might collapse from the tension. But through it all, Suchin stood with a confident grin, clearly enjoying the upper hand.